Carol, do you have it handy?
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Okay. Carol was just telling us as she was going through her house, they're downsizing, so she moves into the smaller place. Her father that died when she was 9 years old, she found a letter from him written back in 1952 that she's never read before.
Wow.
Okay, I got it. It was written February 1st, 1952, to a TV contest called The Big Payoff in New York City. And it says, "Dear folks, I just saw Paul Lavelle win a trip to Paris, and his story was similar to mine in some aspects, prompted me to sit down and write at once. I thought, how wonderful if even only we got to go to New York. We are folks in our late 40s and have 4 children, Joe, Jim, Tom, and Carol, a Johnny-come-lately, just 7. In 1937, when the boys were 3, 5, and 1, I suffered a nervous breakdown that took me out of circulation for 3 years. In view of the fact that I started the practice of law in 1930, the depression had kept us from building any reserve whatever, and the problem of eating became acute the first day I got ill. Without outside help, charity or other, except for a kind sister who helped with food bills and watched the kiddies after she worked all day herself, Mama took over and for upwards of 4 years worked for a local government and a county treasurer operating a borough's bookkeeping machine, mostly on the afternoon shift and night shifts. She kept the children together under their own roof, did all the work, cooking, in addition, visited me some 30 miles away weekly. Today, the boys are big fellas, one ready for the service, one an honor student ready for college, and the third rapidly becoming Krupa, and he met Gene Krupa, the drummer. Oh, why did he pick the drums? The little girl, unspoiled and a joy to both of us. You don't wear a bandage with a nervous breakdown, and people wonder what the heck is the matter with you. But Mama understood, and in her understanding brought me back to reality. After 4 years in a war plant, and with stability returned, we started a little bookkeeping business, and with her continued help and know-how, we have our own home, car, and a few luxuries. But more than this, we have a special family unity, a love of God and country, and some useful citizens, all due to the faith and courage of a woman. I know there are many more stories and many more women who, like Mama, have proved their worth. That is in the tradition of American womanhood, but her story, I know, is the best. I shudder when on occasion I go through Skid Row. There, but for the grace of God and Mama, go I.
Wow. That's beautiful.
That's marvelous.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So
Too bad he didn't send it. You know.
yeah, it is. It is, and it.
Oh, I didn't even get that. That's true, Cheryl.
No,
He didn't send it. Hi, Gary. Did you just miss something? That was so special.
You have to watch the recording.
Yeah, it's on the recording. It'll be on the recording tomorrow. But Carol, hi, can you hear us, Gary? Gail, I'm going to quiet you.
You hear me?
I hear you. Carol.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Hello, Gary.
Hey, Tony.
Carol, when she was going through her stuff, Gary found a letter from her father that was written in 1952, and she just shared it with us.
Special, too. Very special.
Yeah. So he was a lawyer?
yes, he was. Mm-hmm.
So what happened? He got sick and...
Right. He got, and from what research I've done, we really think he had a serious thyroid problem that led to mental illness. And I never knew that he even knew that he was that sick, or, like I said, I really didn't know him until I read this letter. You know, this letter kind of puts his whole life right there.
Yeah.
So
That was amazing. That's
Yeah.
a voice from the grave, no doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was nice to
Thank you for listening and
Thank you for
understanding.
sharing.
That was interesting.
It is. So how is everybody tonight?
Good.
Tired.
Yeah, what you
I
tired of,
think she
Gary?
was gonna talk to us.
I had two trips to the airport today and fooled around over at the park with the guy. He came down to sell his motor home, and there was a bunch of stuff he had to do on it. So I dropped him back off at the airport at 5 o'clock and fought the rush hour traffic coming home. You know how that goes around Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah, we know about that. So, Dorothy, we didn't have a conversation for a while. Everybody's so busy. Did you happen to prepare for the nurse's call?
I did not. I
Oh,
wasn't.
okay. I just thought I would ask. Yeah.
No, I did not.
Uh-huh. Well, you know what? Marcia has something, a piece she wants to share with us. Marcia and I talk a lot about stressing. And it's a concern that we have for Marcia as far as how she reacts and how quick she reacts and how severely her reactions are. And it's been an ongoing conversation. And then Marcia has had some kind of a breakthrough here. Go ahead, Marcia.
Well, I think the first thing is I hope everybody read Connie's post about the ants, our automatic negative thoughts. And Connie has been working with me for a long time about I have a tendency to think negative. And she's worked a long way. And with Dick being back on oxygen and me having the headaches come back, I really got very, very depressed. And we were talking about stress enough, and she asked me to do something. And at first I was going to use Dr. A's chapters from his book. But while we were talking, she said that, sometimes if we can realize what triggers our stress from our past, our past history is part of us. And I have always been, the worrier, the one that, doomsday look out sometimes and things. And so I was going back through, and basically my childhood was pretty good. My parents had to sell their house in the city and moved in with my grandparents because my grandmother got seriously sick. And my one uncle is only 11 months older than my brother. So we moved into a house, and after my sister came, there was like 14 of us that sat down for supper almost every single night. And out of that, there was my sister, who was 4 years younger than me. And then I was the other girl, and then my aunt. And other than my grandmother and mother, all the rest of the household was boys and men. So I was raised, but I was pretty spoiled. Dad, after 3 boys, was thrilled to have a daughter and stuff. And so I was kind of spoiled and things. But growing up, it wasn't bad. High school, there was a few bad moments. As a young girl, my father did entertainment things like put records on jukeboxes and fix pinball machines and like that and put them in places. So we had our own clubhouse with jukeboxes and pinball machines and all that. So the kids would come flock to our house. Well, when I got to junior high, they started forming groups, and I was still in it because I always had the latest records to bring to the dances. But then when we had senior high, they started forming these cliques. And to join it, you had to sneak out on your parents and bring a 6-pack of beer, which I refused to do. So from that day on, the 90% of my former friends would not even speak to me. So here I am having these friends all through middle school and junior high, and I am lost and stuff. But I did, because of my brothers and us playing basketball, I was a fantastic guard. And so I did get chose a lot for that. And my mom was so great about saying that, you don't have to please other people, please yourself. So during high school, that was pretty good. And then I was dating a guy who dropped me weekly, 2 months before my junior prom, my first big formal dance. And my brother, who was in the military, arranged to have one of his soldier that was underneath him. He was a sergeant and Gary was a private, to take me to my junior prom. And I didn't even know it until like a week before the junior prom. But because it had all been made, I did go out with him and I ended up married to him. We were married for 13 and a half years. I worked as an aide at the hospital and he worked for the ambulance company. And when he was, I was 30 and he was 36. He was 6 years older than I was. He had an aneurysm, and well, before that, we had tried to have. We had a son, and we were trying to have another child, and nothing worked. So we ended up adopting our Melissa, who is yesterday. We had her happy day. That was the day she formally, legally became ours on the 18th.
Is that Melissa in the background? With
That's Missy. That's
oh my gosh.
that's our happy girl.
Hi, Melissa.
She was 4.5 and Gordon was 10 when Gary died. And I had such a hard time with my grandmother dying because we lived with her, and she died like 3 weeks before I was due to get married to Gary. And then a week and a half later, my grandfather, my mother's father, died. So I almost put our wedding on. Thank God for my favorite aunt that lived with us when I was growing up, said, Martha, that was not what your grandmother would want. And my mom said, neither would her dad. So I had a very hard time. Death is a terrible heartbreak for me because then I lost Gary, and it was such a shock because he was a helping hand. I was in nursing school at the time. I had been recommended, and that's the one positive thing nobody could ever make me feel stressful about or negative about. I knew I was a good aide. I knew I became a good nurse, and that is the one thing through my life. And I think it is because of my growing up years. So I handled that pretty good, but not the death of my husband, and trying to cope with 2 children that, you know, lost their dad and things. And I took the wrong road for about 8 months. I started drinking. But my darling Melissa one day woke me up to the fact that that didn't solve anything. She was standing in the middle of a table and she was jumping up and down on the middle of our dining room table. And I said, what do you think you're doing? She says, I don't have a daddy and I can do anything I want to. And I said, no, you have, but you have a mom. And she goes, you're never home. And it was a big wake-up call. And when I stopped down and started thinking about it, the drinking did not bring him back, did not make my life any easier. But I did graduate nursing school. I did, my average did drop a lot. I gained about 15 points because I was at the top, one of the all 3 tops in my class. And I went down to about 7th place, but that's okay. I got my nurse's license. While I was in nursing school, a friend of ours introduced me to Dick. I don't do blind dates. If something happens to Dick, I won't do a blind date because I end up married to him. And Dick and I got married. And when I went with him, I told him there can be no more children because they said I would never have any more. Well, then our darling Carlene came along. And it was a little rough because of my age and the fact that I was very high risk and I had to give up my job. And I was quite sick carrying her, but I had her naturally, and it was fantastic. And we were living in the same house, and when she was, I guess, what was she, 6 when we moved to, you were 6 and Missy was 11, and we moved to Del Mar, to Albany area. And things were great there. I loved Albany and things, and the kids were doing well in school once Missy settled down and things. And Missy got married. I lived in Albany, and my son met and married his first wife. And it was really real thing. And then the bomb fell that the railroad was redoing everything. And it was like we had to move. My husband wanted to maintain
To the
his
phone.
job status. So
That's your mother.
we found a house in Kissimmee, north of Syracuse. And my parents were getting to the stage where they could not take care of themselves. So we asked them to move in with them, and it was out in the country. We lived on 18 acres of wooded land. We had a log house. I know I thoroughly enjoyed having my parents live with us. We did not have a problem. I guess maybe because I had lived with my grandmother growing up. And I don't think Colleen had a problem. I really was very, very attached to my mom and dad and stuff, and they thought the world of her. We were doing really well, and then Dick did start having some lung problems in the early 90s. And then in 1994, my father had a major heart attack on his 60th wedding anniversary. And he was doing really well in the morning, so we took cake and ice cream in. And we went downstairs to let mom and dad have some time together because nobody in my dad's family had ever made 60 years. And when we went back up, he had started having heart attacks again. And he did not make it. And my mom and dad never went on separate vacations. My mom was devoted to my dad. And she gave up. And dad died in July. My mom died in October.
Jeez.
And then in January, Colleen had gone into the military, and she had become an MP. And in January, they were shipping her to Germany. So I lost like my house, and I just went into such a depression. I wouldn't answer my phone. I had a 980-foot driveway, so I saw cars coming up. I turned my lights off. I would not answer the door, even if there was a light on. I'd run to the back of my house, and I wouldn't answer my door and stuff. And this went on for probably about a good year. I really just shut people out. And then one day my sister showed up at my door, and she pounded on the door, and she says, I'm setting out, and it was cold. It was really, really cold that day. She says, I'm setting out here until you let me in to talk to you. I mean, I would see them at family things, but I ignored them, and stuff. And said that, I've got to do something. So I decided my best thing to do was to go back to work because I loved nursing. I did well in it. And it really was a breakthrough for that. And that I worked for like 2.5, 3 years, and then Dick started getting worse and worse with his breathing. And we went on vacation. We did a lot of traveling in the summers, and we had gotten home from one of our vacations, and there was a letter from the railroad that he had to go have his doctor's exam, because he'd been bypassing it for like 1.5 years, 2 years, because he knew his lungs were not getting well. And they said if he's not there, he's off the railroad. So he went, and they said it would be 10 days. So we decided to take another little trip. And when we got back, there was a letter informing us it was no longer required to work on the railroad because of his health. So we went.
Marsh, let me ask you a question, honey.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. So, as you were looking back over your life, you're saying that you had an epiphany. What was the epiphany that you had?
I'm trying to get what you mean by
Where you realized things that had happened in your life was causing you to be stressed now.
I think with our talk the other day, the fact that I let these little ants come in and start building their little houses in it, and though I sometimes kill some of them off, it seems like they're still coming in, and they're still there. I haven't eliminated them. Mm-hmm. And I think with you telling me to do this, I started looking back, and I started saying that, I have let so many things rule me, and my emotions. And I think the one best thing I ever did is when I got so bad with my sugar that I called you, Connie, and went on Take Shade. And we were doing so well and everything. And then Dick had lost it and was not on oxygen and all that. And then this past month and a half, it's like, my headaches were bad and they were terrible, and Dick's breathing was getting worse, and it was like, gee, and we worked so hard and we were so happy and stuff, but I was letting it get me, and Connie knew that because I wasn't calling her much anymore, and I was kind of like going back into my hole. And when we were talking, she said something, and it just made me sit down and realize. And then when I read this after I had decided, I said, I have got to do something. I've got to do something for me to not drag myself back down to where I was back in the 90s. And I have made a lot of changes. I made changes at work just before this. And things, and I'm not working the hours I was working, and I'm not taking on the stress of a lot of the stuff that was going on in the office. It's not conducive to me.
Well, thank you, Marcia.
So, and I am doing better. My headaches are better. I am doing some treatments that are not, I have not told my doctor yet. So, but I am doing better, and that's the main thing. And I think with the change in the weather, Dick's breathing has been a little bit better. So we're working on the stress part of, and I everybody, please read that. Again, the thing about the ants.
Yep, let's kill them.
Kill
Kill
them.
them.
That's it. Kill them.
They have to
Don't
kill
let them
them.
get all the way in the doorway. Meet them at the door and just
Meet them at the door and kill them.
stomp.
You know, Marcia, as I'm listening to you talk, and not everybody is willing to share that openly, and especially while you got your children sitting right here in the room listening to you. But I think just as Carol was reading the letter from her father from years ago, Colleen probably really appreciated it. Melissa probably really appreciated hearing what you had to say just now, and probably makes you closer than you were before because they got to see you in a way they didn't get to see you before. I know we have widows that have lost their husbands. Carol and Gail and me and Dorothy, we've been through that very thing. Dorothy was very open about how had she gotten herself in a better state of health when Joe died. That was stressful, right, Dorothy?
Oh, yeah. But it's a good thing I was already healthy.
Yeah.
That was really, that saved my life. Saved
Yeah.
my life.
I mean, really, is there anybody in the room that hasn't been to the brink and back, you know? And it does leave its toll on you. And we do end up in places we don't expect to be, all dependent on what we repeat and how well we handle what it is we're going through in the first place. So
Well, I think, Connie, everybody should sit down and start right back from as far back as they can remember and put down things that and how you reacted to them, because it does make a difference in our life. I think the biggest thing, losing my grandmother just before my wedding and then losing Gary, was the things that have done a lot in my life to make me wanna control.
Yeah.
That, for a better word, I want to control everything, and life is not what you
and what Marcia's talking about that I said to her is in one of the courses they talked about that when you are reacting in the here and now, everything you're doing here and now is the result of what you did back in the day. And the things that you did back in the day, depending on when your hard times hit you, how you handled them at that time will be the skills that you go into your older life with, unless you go back and readjust them. Because an ocean to a child is huge and it's scary. It is dangerous. They will drown. But when that child becomes an adult, the ocean is just a place to go play. So what scared him as a child and what he needed to be afraid of was real, but it's no longer the case as an adult. So a lot of times, and I think that's what Marcia's point was, is that by her going back through her life and how she handled different things, she must have had some kind of realization that she was still reacting like she did then, but now it's causing her health issues and unhappiness and depression, where back then it probably kept her on her feet. Is that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it.
So, anyone got anything they want to say before we move on that? Thank you, Marcia. That was really very special. I appreciate it.
I would like to say thank you, Marcia, because I really suffer from most of what you have, and I really needed that. It really meant a lot to me tonight.
Did you read Connie's post about the ants?
Yes.
I have it on my computer screen, and I look at it. I try to look at it every day.
Oh, well, good, Marsh. I'm glad that helped you. I have.
Wait, can I just say that I do want to say, because she said she was really good at her job. She's also really good at being a mom.
Absolutely.
Thank you, hon.
And you look beautiful today, Mommy.
Look at her. I know.
She does look good today. Me and Miss said that. I'm glad.
Yeah. Dawn, were you going to say something, honey?
Connie, I have a couple of things I'd like to add.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if I could add, I look at things just a little differently, because I look at all of the negative things that have happened to me in a positive light. Like, I've been told for many years, you are the unluckiest person I've ever met in my entire life. And for me, I look at it as I'm extremely lucky and very blessed, because I've survived and been through a whole lot of stuff that lots of other people have died from. And so I have a pre-bred ant smusher. I don't usually have negative thoughts. The only negative thoughts I actually probably ever have had was over my father and him passing, because my mom had to take me to the doctors the day that my dad died.
Wow.
Other than that, I pretty much am able to smash any negativity at all, other than wishing that things could have been different for my dad.
Yeah. Well, I can say for me, I draw strength from you every day.
Every day.
And where I might have complained in the past, I don't even go there. And if I am half the person you are, then I will do well. We're glad to have you here.
Mhm.
You really are such an important reason why we all are here.
I thank you.
All right.
My parents somehow way back when they made me a pretty tough cookie. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So would anybody else like to contribute to this wonderful conversation? All right. So I'm going to go to Marsha Novita and congratulate her on her new house.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tell us about your new house and your upcoming,
Congratulations.
huh?
It's in West Palm Beach, suburban area, and has about an acre or so of land, and I have total privacy, no neighbors up my ass, and my birds can be as loud as they want, and nobody's going to complain.
Well, this is the sad part here. May I share? Marsha?
Yes, you can. Yeah. I'm sad.
I'm really sad about Marsha. You're going to stay with us in the group from time to time, right?
Of course, yeah.
All right. We don't want to lose you there for sure.
No, you won't. No.
She lived here at the Cove years ago and sold and moved to Boynton Beach. And then for whatever her reason was, it was really exciting. She and I met online. We never knew each other. We caught some birds we met.
Right,
We
right.
never knew each other. We moved back the second time. And when she moved back the second time, she has this beautiful porch that she put her birds out there in, and her next door neighbor just complains constantly. And so it brings the property manager to her door, and she just can't live up under that stress anymore. And she didn't tell me, but I knew when she was going, you know how she wasn't here for the one meeting? She was probably house looking that
I was, yeah, I was.
day. I've wondered, I thought,
You knew.
then she sent her thing, but I think it's really sad.
It is sad. I'm gonna miss it here.
Move because somebody next door didn't like to hear the birds tweet. I wonder what they do about the ones out in the trees.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But congratulations, and
Thank you, thank you.
you got a room for me if we come over?
You bet, you better come and visit.
So we will come and see you, and that was really, really good news. Did you guys, there was one piece this week that I thought was worth bringing up again, and it's about pushy people, food pushers, I think they call them. Did you remember that? Has anyone in here not had a problem with people insisting that you have something? No. So I'm going to go over her answers, and she said the obvious and the simplest one should be no thanks, but you know that doesn't always work. And then she said you might tell them that if you have a really good food pusher, you might tell them, well, I'll have some later. Not that it meant later that day, but later sometime else. And then she'd say, I'd have some, but I'm so full. You really shouldn't have to go to those measures to avoid somebody making you feel bad to eat. And then she says, okay, thanks, but I've already had some. I actually have used that just so I could be done with it and not have to get into the conversation. Because if you already want it and you're getting into this battle of wits, more than likely you're going to end up having it because you wanted it to begin with and they didn't make it easier. Your support system around you is probably as critical as anything else that you do. And then there's always the really pushy one that says, I made this just for you.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, I made this just for you. Now, how are you going to get away from that one?
Jeez.
And that's where they talked about you just got to have the confidence in your food plan to say, you know, I've been on this plan and I have my blood sugar under control. I'm feeling really good. I've got lots of energy, and I'm just not going to have that today. And so to me, that probably is the best one, and we'll cover anybody that's doing that to you.
Honey,
yeah.
I always tell people, push on me like that, thank you very much, but it's against my religion. They leave you alone. They don't want to mess with religion.
Talking about.
Thank you very much, but it's against my religion. They just say, oh, I'm sorry. And that's it.
You want to tell the key lime story, the key lime pie story?
No, you do it.
Yeah. So he doesn't even eat key lime pie, but I love key lime pie. It's the reason probably for 100 of the pounds that I had. And I'm in the middle of that program doing really good, losing all this weight, and he brings home a key lime pie. And he doesn't eat it. And I'm saying, well, why did you bring this? You know? And so we ended up taking it across the street to Tom's house. And I don't know what the time frame in between it was, but he comes in with another key lime pie.
Oh my God, Tony.
Are we talking about a food pusher here? And I'm doing great. He did this. So I took that key lime pie and said, I'm eating it right now. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. And he felt so bad, and he took that pie away from me. He said, I'll never do it again. And he's been a great support. But I know why he was doing it, because he felt bad for me. He thought that was a way to make me happy. So I appreciate the thought. How about that? I have some news that I don't know. I'm going to share my screen and see what you guys know about it. Where's my screen here? There we go. I hear the birdies.
I know.
I think that's Cheryl, though.
Don't worry, Marshall. They may get a much worse neighbor next time.
I hope so. I hope so.
That was vicious.
I know.
That was funny. So there is a big revolution underway in medical care, down to what hospitals are charging, the services that you're paying for that you can't even tell whether you got or not. You don't even see the bill until you're discharged. But they say that the medical revolution underway, and it will soon make our current practices seem crude. One. The future is here talk that's as big as the project is. The president called for $215 million to start the project in 2016. We're ready to embark on the national initiative that could completely transform and refine modern medicine in something more precise. I mean, that really sums up that whole news article there. But I think I think it was inevitable. I think our medical system is out of whack.
Yeah.
And then, do you know about the HIV vaccine that they have created?
No.
They're actually going to start testing it in South Africa, or they have actually. They started in February. So, that's really going to make a huge difference in HIV. So those are two really big. There was another piece of news that was about the beta cell, that insulin kills beta cells, and have found what causes that in the type 2 diabetics. And they're very close to getting a breakthrough with that, where the beta cell will survive. So that's another piece of good information in the medical world that we can share. So, any birthdays this week? Any anniversaries this week that we didn't know about? Nope. Nope.
Nobody's getting any older. We're staying the same.
Yeah. Gary and Don won the Fitbits. How about that?
Yay.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey, hey!
But anytime there's something to be won, Gary always seems to win. Oh, never win.
He's a lucky guy.
Never win.
Very lucky.
Don never wins. She says this is the
He
first
has to
time.
be real lucky. He found Barbara, so.
Go ahead, Don.
Oh, I was just flabbergasted because I never win anything. And I mean, because of what happened to me, my sister-in-law, whenever the lottery gets really big, she wants me to go buy a lottery ticket because she said, I'm got to be due for some kind of luck somewhere.
Oh.
So I when I told her I won, she was like, it's about.
So, Gal, do you have any words to impart tonight? I know you've been so busy. I appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
Yeah, it's good. I like hearing what's going on with people because I understand where they're coming from. We've all had our own history. We've all had our own stressful situations, and it's nice to know that other people have had them and have dealt with them, and we can all deal with them.
Oh,
So I appreciate the honesty of everybody.
that was nice. Colleen, you have anything you'd like to say before we say goodnight here?
No, I'm not. No, it's been a good time seeing everybody, and thank you for everybody for sharing. Especially, your, very emotional moments and stuff like that.
Personal, yeah. Heartfelt.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
We have a lot of that goes on in the room. Gary, I thank you for coming. Both Marcia's, Carol, Tony, Don's, and Cheryl by the telephone. We're probably close to getting that computer by now, right? A few more days, 5, 6.
Yeah, maybe, I probably take a week more. Yeah, I just got it off, yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to see the effort you go to be with us. Dorothy, I'm going to
Yeah.
let you close it up for us tonight, okay?
I don't know what to say. I've been on a roller coaster ride.
How's
And
your mother? How's your mother?
she's doing fine. Yeah. I took her back to the doctors yesterday and they're trying other things. So, but she was doing fine this morning when I talked to her.
She got her strength back, some of it?
It's coming back. Yeah. She's using a cane now instead of the walker. So it's coming back.
Good, good.
Tammy's not here tonight. She's really
Yeah,
struggling.
there's the baby. Oh,
Oh, there he is.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Connor.
he's so cute.
He is, yeah.
He's going to think all his friends are boxes on the. Who are those people?
It's funny.
Are you guys going to stay on and talk tonight?
Yeah, well, for a minute.
All right, then we'll say
If,
adios.
if mom, you got to take your thing off mute.
Yeah.
I just wanted to also say, Connie, that I got the baby bullet, so he's going to start eating food, and we're going to start making him food this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He already started eating
Cool.
a little bit of food, but we're going to make his own food this weekend because I got a little baby bullet now for him.
Isn't that great? Jennifer,
Yeah.
our youngest daughter, her babies are out. She's not going to have any more of she's done fed them, and she made all of their food with that little bullet, and your timing was just perfect for that. So
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
absolutely. And when you get through with it, if there's somebody else that has a baby and can use it, just, pass it on. Yeah.
Oh my God, what is that? My sister thought you said when Melissa has another baby. She's like,
She just stressed right out.
yeah.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Gary,
Talk to
I
you
do have a
next
second-
week.
Yes,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye.
Bye, Gail. Bye, Gary.
All right. Oh,
Bye, Carol.
How I leave.
Bye.
I can get you out if you want me to.
Okay. See you next week.
You betcha.
Say hi, Grandma. Say hi. Hi, Grandma. Julie.
Oh,
He
dear.
had his doctor's appointment, his 4-month doctor's appointment yesterday. He's doing good. Everything's pretty much average, except for his height is in the 91st percentile.
Wow.
He's
So
gonna be
he's gonna be, he's
I
pretty
read
tall.
that. I love the video. You got to put some more video up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We take lots of pictures and lots of videos.
Thank you, Marsha, for what you did tonight.
I really think it has helped me too, Connie. It really has. You saying to look back into my past,
Oh,
because we are what we,
Well, I can say it because it's applied to me. I have let go of a lot of things that no longer serve me, and so that was a really good message.
And I really think that everybody really should,
this
because
one's just because if Luna found it, she.
everybody has had stress throughout their life, I'm sure. I mean, very few people have a stress-free life.
And that's, really the point was that I didn't want to say it, but because I felt like you did without saying it, is that this is what happens in life, and how you deal with it is going to be the end result of how well you are when you get to be our age. And it's constantly reassessing, and happiness is more important than depression. And you have to work hard and not let it go easy. I think you made that point really clear. And I'm out of here. You guys enjoy your visit.
Thank you,
Thank you, Connie.
So,
You look wonderful tonight, Mom.
I am feeling better. I have decided some of the things that are being done are not helpful for me. They're not seeming to be able to. I just needed to take charge of my health again, and
Right.